morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Denman Homestead. I'm Buddy, this is Stephanie, and
Welcome to the Loofah Dome.
we're in the Loofah Dome.
Yeah. This is where the magic happens with the loofahs.
Yeah,
Look at
it
this.
is.
Look at this honker.
Yeah, this is a very magical dome. It's very cool looking. Got that nice grilled meat smell that I still don't understand why I smell grilled meat when I smell these
It
loofahs.
smells like sausage.
Yeah.
But we brought you here today because it's time.
It's finally time.
It is time.
The whole reason we planted this dome.
Yeah. So I want to show you how we're going to harvest the loofahs, what they look like on the inside, and then we're going to make some soap. And I'm really excited about that.
Pop the top.
Here, you peel it.
Okay.
I'll peel one too. But listen, when you pop that top, you can
take the seeds
look
out.
at that. You better be careful because we're gonna have a ton of
Random loofahs.
random seeds. These are so easy to save these seeds. Like we're gonna have a ton of loofah seeds. Everyone on the hill is getting loofah seeds for Christmas.
Oh yeah, all the loofahs.
Look at that. Look at that. Oh shoot. Really good sensory toys.
Yeah. Here. You're shaking them into your bag.
Yeah.
Now we will do the peeling.
Now we will peel it. This is why it's good to do it outside. Isn't this fun?
You could just do an ASMR segment where
yeah, let's do that.
you only hear the peeling. Let me change the settings. Okay. Ready? All right. I don't know if that was peaceful or not, but I thought it was cool.
So check it out.
Loofah
You
sponge.
probably hear this. I'm sure they can hear it, no?
All right, try it.
Something is falling. Yeah, I don't like that. Fun. Yep, so check it out, look. You can still see a few seeds in there. This is the all-natural sponge. You could just stick a stick on this. Scrub your back. Just
Yeah.
make a good back scrubber. Let me scratch your back.
Okay. Oh yeah. That would be a good back scratcher.
Yeah. You like back scratchers. So yeah, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take these sponges and we're going to pour our soap. What does it smell like to you? It smells good.
Yeah, it's like this is a very natural flavor.
It's an earthy.
Earthy flavor.
It doesn't smell like meat.
No. You don't get that grilled meat smell from the
No.
sponge inside.
And people may ask, you can eat loofah when they're young and small and tender. I wonder if we have one in here. Probably like this.
Like zucchini size?
Yeah, like a small squash size. You can eat it. They're just kind of tasteless and bland. But you can cut them open and eat them. Larger ones are not really good to eat. They're fibrous. And they're a natural sponge for cleaning, scrubbing your pots, scrubbing your body. So if you want to grow loofah, all natural, baby. So let's bring these inside and get to working on our soap.
All right, let's go.
All right.
Okay, we're delivering loofahs to Kim.
Don't call me Kim.
Catching up with Kim.
Oh my gosh. Mom.
Loofah delivery.
Yeah. I'm going to cut them in half and have 4. Keep one
Put
in
them
the...
into little, like...
Yeah, I could cut them a little smaller. Keep one in the kitchen and the rest in the bathroom.
Cool.
Yep. I'm going to go make soaps with them.
Yeah.
Cut 'em into
Sponge
little-
delivery service.
pour my soaps over 'em.
You can put soap in them?
Yeah, like put them, like cut them like this, and then like pour my soap so it's like a sponge with the soap.
Oh, that's
Alrighty.
pretty smart. I'm going to put mine on a stick.
I think I'm gonna like drill a little hole through the soap and have like a little rope, like a little twine rope that you
Oh,
can.
yeah. Soap and a rope. Sponge on a rope.
Yeah. Don't
Sponge.
drop the soap.
Spongy soap on a rope.
Okay, we've made it back inside, and it is a mad scientist setting here. We've got measuring cups and mason jars and bowls full of stuff everywhere. And I'm going to tell you how we're going to use all of this to make goat's milk soap in our loofahs, with our loofahs. So, first things first, let's go over some of the steps and some safety precautions. If you've never made soap before, stuff like that. You're going to want to make sure you're in a very well ventilated area because you're going to be working with lye, which is extremely caustic and it will burn your skin. So if you want to wear safety goggles, gloves, any of that, if you're not, it's important to do that, especially if you're a beginner and not familiar with how to use these ingredients. Those are great things to have on hand. You're not going to want to use anything aluminum. Aluminum reacts to the chemicals, so you're going to want to use either stainless steel, glass, or a thick plastic to work with these chemicals and materials. Also, anything that you use or touch with the lye ingredients, you're going to want to make sure you wash thoroughly. You may want to keep some maybe white vinegar on hand to counteract those chemicals if there's a spill or something like that. So, basic materials that I have, I've got a scale, a digital scale that I use. I have this immersion blender I use just for soap making. I don't mix it with my food immersion blender. It's just for soap making stuff. A lot of the stuff I use just with my soap making stuff. But let's go ahead and jump into it. Today's goat's milk soap. So I have some goat's milk soap that I've actually frozen in ice cube trays. And the reason why I did that is because goat's milk, or any milk really, when it's mixed with a very, very hot liquid, the way that lye mixes with water, if you pour it straight onto just a room temperature goat's milk or even a refrigerated goat's milk, it can turn your goat's milk soap brown or rusty color. So if you freeze your goat's milk, there's a less likely for you to scorch it. You can still use the soap, it's perfectly fine. You just won't have a white or a creamy colored bar. You'll have a different colored bar. It's really just for aesthetic purposes. So I've frozen the milk. This recipe calls for 100 grams of goat's milk, and a little bit of science here. If you measure your goat's milk soap after you have frozen it, it's going to weigh less. Just the way science works. Don't ask me how. But if you measure that same tablespoon of goat's milk after it's thawed or in a liquid state, it's going to weigh more. So I suggest you weigh out your 100 grams and then pour it in your molds. I know that I'm going to need about six of these in order to make my 100 grams. So I've already pre-measured and I already know I'm going to need about 6 cubes of my tray, because each tray is different, to make my 100 grams once it's thawed. So just keep that in mind if you're doing conversion that way. I've got a pot on the stove because I'm going to use a double boiler to start melting my hard butter. My hard butters, I've got shea butter here and coconut oil here. So we're going to mix those and heat them up on the stove. But just to give you an idea about this soap, it's a cold process soap, which means if you've seen my previous soap making video that I did with Brie, we did it in a crock pot. We cooked it for about an hour after we did this and had it all do this saponification process in the crock pot, and we were able to use that soap about 24 or 48 hours immediately after we made the soap. This process is a cold process soap where it's going to take about 4 weeks to cure. All of that moisture is going to come out of the bar within that 4 weeks, and then we're going to be able to use it. So, this is called a cold process soap. Even though we are heating up our oils to combine them first, the curing process is longer. And, okay, well, let's just kind of jump into it and I'll show you how it's done. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to get our lye mixture. This is the lye. This is what it looks like. Okay. It's kind of sandy, kind of grainy white. This will melt your skin off. Don't mess around with this, okay? And we have our water. And I'll have all the ingredients list and everything in the video descriptions as well, so that you'll have the whole recipe. But you always want to put your lye into your water and not the other way around. You don't pour your water into your lye. It can cause an explosion, burn your skin. It's dangerous. So get your container here, and we're going to pour our lye into our water in a very well ventilated area. This is a very big space. You can go outside if you need to, but I'm just going to slowly pour this into the water, and it is going to immediately start to heat up. This is going to be very, very, very hot. And the reason why I'm doing this step first is because I need this to cool down quick. Or not so much quick, but I need it to cool down because we want this to come to about 90 degrees before we add in our goat's milk. Because if we add it in right now, it's going to burn it. Even though it's frozen, it's going to be way too hot. We're just going to stir this around until it becomes, right now it's very milky colored. I know I have a lot going on, so let me show you. This is a very milky. My container is fogging up because of the heat and the steam that's coming off of it. So I'm stirring this around until it's completely dissolved. Make sure you kind of scrape the sides because sometimes those little crystals, those lye crystal balls, will get stuck to the side glass or side of your container. And when you end up pouring this mixture into the next, you could have little chunks of lye, and you don't want that. You don't want undissolved lye in your soap. So while this is dissolving, I'll go ahead and tell you the ingredients. You're going to need 107 grams of lye, 100 grams of distilled water. You need to use distilled water in your soap making because distilled water is going to be free of any minerals or impurities. And 100 grams of goat's milk. Now, goat's milk you can do organic, you can do a powdered goat's milk that you use the ratio on the powdered goat's milk to create 100 grams of the goat's milk. I have organic goat's milk at my grocery store, so I just went ahead and used the organic goat's milk. And then it'll be fun to use our farm's goat's milk once we have goats that we can milk here. Right now, Kim's goat is we're waiting on her to be bred, but we don't have any goat's milk just yet. And then you're going to need 200 grams of coconut oil, which I have here. Then you're going to need 150 grams of shea butter, which I have here. You're going to need 400 grams of olive oil, which I have here. Now, if you can find a lighter in color olive oil, some of them are very, very dark yellow, almost green looking, and that may pigment your soap some. So if you can find a pale yellow olive oil, that may help with your coloring to keep your soap lighter in color. And then we have 50 grams of castor oil. And that is all of our ingredients that we're going to use with the soap base. And then the extra little spin on it is going to be our little loofah that we grew, our loofah sponge. So I've been stirring this for a little bit. And it's clearing up quite a bit. It's a little cloudy, but it may stay cloudy, may not get completely clear until it cools down more. So for now, I'm going to set this aside because it looks like all of the crystals have completely dissolved. And I'm going to add my hard oils, my hard butters, over here to the double boiler, and I'll bring you there. Okay, so to my double boiler, I'm going to add in my shea butter and my coconut oil. I'm just going to let this melt down. While that's melting down, let me show you what I have in the oven. My loofah. I put it on a warm setting because I rinsed these out because they had some seeds, and sometimes the seeds have that little film or paper film on them. And I wanted to make sure that I had these pretty clean, so I squeezed them really well and I rinsed them out. But I just stuck them back in my oven on a warm setting so that they would dry out. I didn't want any extra moisture content in the loofah to interfere with the soap making process. Because soap making is kind of a science with as far as like liquids and solids and oils, and so I just wanted to make sure that I didn't have any extra water that I didn't need in my soap recipe, so I'm drying them out in the oven, and they're pretty dry now, so I can take them out. Okay, it's completely melted, and it took very little time, maybe 5 minutes, for this all to melt down. So now what we're going to do is we're going to remove this bowl from the heat, and we are going to combine our other liquid oils, the olive oil and the castor oil, together with this oil base now. sure if you have a infrared thermometer or a thermometer that can take high temperatures, or even a stick thermometer that goes up to high temperatures. But I'm going to wait until this lye comes down to about 90 degrees before I add in my goat's milk. So if you don't have a thermometer, you may just want to feel it if it's skin temperature. We just want to make sure that it's not hot enough that it will scorch and burn the milk, the fats in the milk and all. So I'm just going to keep an eye on that. Okay, so now I'm going to take my castor oil and pour it into my coconut oil shea butter mixture. And then I'm going to add in my olive oil. Can you believe it that we're almost done? Just a few more steps. So I'm just going to stir these together. And I'm going to want these to basically come to the same temperature before I combine them. Give or take a couple degrees. It's not a big deal if one's a little cooler than the other. We just don't want one significantly hot, significantly cold combining these two. So we're just going to keep an eye on the temperatures. And once this reaches around 90 degrees, I'll add in my goat's milk and then stir that until it's dissolved. Wow. So this is 114 degrees and this is 119 degrees. So they're cooling right now at a similar rate. So that's really good. So I'm going to set these aside for now. Let them cool off a few more degrees. And then while we wait on that, let's go ahead and cut up our loofah. I'm going to use a serrated knife and take my loofah. And I'm looking at my muffin tins here because this is what I'm going to use. My silicone. This is my mold I'm going to use. It's just a muffin thing to make muffins in, but they are silicone, so they are easier to pop out than like your regular metal ones. Your regular metal ones, you could put the liners in them and then take them out and pop them out, but this is pretty nifty for this project here. So I'm just basically going to like measure them to see how where I want to cut them at. About, I'd say, 2 inches. I'm just gonna tuck them down in there, in their little hole there. Oh, look, there's a seed in here that snuck past me. Come here, little guy. Nobody wants a seed in their soap. Okay, I'm left with these 2 little cones, and I'll just save these for like dish sponges. But this is what we've got. I've shoved them down in there so they're flat, and all we do now is pour the soap, once we've combined it, over our cupcake molds, and they will harden in there. So let's check the temperature on our stuff. Our lye. Sitting at 110. $107. So we'll let them come down a little bit more. If you wanted to speed it up, you could set them in a bowl of ice or something. But right now I'm going to go ahead and get my pot that I'm going to be combining all of this together in, because you're going to need something that's going to be big enough for you to combine your lye and your oils, and then stick your immersion blender down in there, turn it on without it overflowing or splashing you. Okay, I have my trusty crock pot here that I use just for soap making, and because I'm not going to be using it as a crock pot per se to heat it up, I'm just going to use this cast iron part of the pot for this part. So, what we're going to do now is we are going to, let's take the temperature of the lye. This is pretty close last time I checked. It felt just lukewarm. It was not hot at all. I'm not going to stick my finger in the lye, I'm just going to feel the glass with my hands. Yes, this is reading about 96. And this is reading... Oh. This is 96 as well. Okay, 95. I'm pretty comfortable now with adding in the goat's milk now and slowly stirring this in, the cubes. Set this aside. Get my lye. Don't want to splash it, so I'm just going to set it on the edge there. These are dissolving pretty quick. And I want to kind of move quickly so I can kind of cool it all down together. Ooh! All right, it popped right out. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 5. Let me get one more. Okay, I'm just going to stir this together now. Stir this all around until it's completely melted together. Goat's milk soap is very good for those with skin allergies, eczema, just sensitive skin in general, dry skin. The goat's milk gives a really great lather. The fats in the soap are great for soap making. This is all completely dissolved now. You do not have to add any fragrance to your soap. You can leave it just a plain goat's milk soap. That's totally fine. Today I think I'm going to add in a little bit of a fragrance. I don't know it's going to do much because we have a lot of oils here. And it's just a tiny little jar. You can order them off of Amazon or find them at your craft store, but this is a tiny little jar of lavender oil, lavender essential oil. So I'm going to add this in, but I'm going to add it in at trace. Trace, I'll show you and explain to you, is in just a second, we're going to combine this goat's milk and the oils into this pot. We're going to start to blend it with the immersion blender. It's going to thicken, and it's going to do something that looks like a pudding or a custard. So you're going to be able to draw kind of a line on top, and it's going to hold that little dribble shape. So that's what we're going to be looking for. That's called trace. And we'll add in our essential oil whenever it gets to trace. Okay, so this looks good. Let's go ahead and pour this oil in here. Because remember how I said don't add your water directly to your lye, add your lye to your water. Kind of, you know, the same concept goes. I like to do the same things with you add your lye into whatever other solution. You don't, it's not the other way around. So I'm not pouring my lye in first and then my oils on top of it. I'm going to do my oils and then pour my lye solution into them. And I will bring you over here so you can kind of get a bird's eye view of what I'm looking at. Okay, welcome to the pot. So we've got our oils in here, and now I'm going to slowly stir in my lye. I'm just going to stir to incorporate this together, and then I'm going to blend it. Okay, this looks pretty well combined, so I'm going to go ahead and use my immersion blender and blend this up. All right, we have made it to trace, y'all. Let me see if you can see this a little better. But when you draw kind of your spoon or whatever in the soap, can you see how it saves its shape there, holds its shape on top of the soap? That's trace. That's what we want to reach. Now let's go ahead and add in your essential oil, and we can mix this in with the immersion blender until you think it's all incorporated, and then we'll pour it in our molds. Check it out. Goat's milk soap. I'm about to pour it into the molds. Now remember, still use caution because this is still going to be very, it'll burn your skin. So we just want to make sure that you are, this is pretty thick. So we're going to just work pretty quickly. And then we'll kind of tap this down and get these to fall inside their loofah. All right, we're gonna call it there. This little guy out. Almost. We almost had 8. 8? No. 12. So here we go. Missing 1, but that's what it's gonna look like. Okay? And we're gonna set this aside, and I'm gonna put some wax paper over the top for about 24 hours, and I'm just gonna let this sit. And then after 24 hours, we can unmold these and then let them cure for the 4 weeks. So we're just gonna let these sit in an undisturbed area where no one can touch them, no animals, nothing can get in them. And I'm gonna save my extra little loofah scraps using the sponges. And yeah, I will show you the next part of this when we get them out.